memories about Allan start in a very small, discreet neighborhood known as West Adams, not far from here, in which a playground existed known as Vineyard Playground, where Allan, as a teenager, spent hours playing basketball with his friends. One day, a little boy about 7 or 8 years old, and it was probably 1947, 46, found himself on a swing set that was designed for much larger children. The little boy was struggling to try to get the swing aloft and fly into the air. Nearby was the basketball court, and a teenage boy came over to help the little boy get the swing in motion. That teenage boy was Allan Polin. That little boy was me. Allan gave me a push, the first push of many pushes he gave me throughout my life as both a little boy and an adult. And the more he pushed, the higher the swing went. I was both terrified and excited by the experience. For weeks and months after, Allan would see me on the playground and he would break away from his basketball friends and wave to the little boy and sometimes pat me on the head. After a while, I didn't see Allan anymore, and on my 13th birthday, just short of my bar mitzvah actually, we moved to the west side, and I didn't see Allan again until I was about 24 years old, seeking a job in the mortgage industry. And I went into a company called Allstate Mortgage, where Allan happened to be working. I got a job there as a sales solicitor. And one day walking down the hall, I saw this guy who looked vaguely familiar, but I couldn't quite place him. We entered into a conversation. It turned out that we both had lived in the West Adams neighborhood. And we both remembered fondly our memories of Vineyard Playground. And it turned out that this was the Allan that had given me the push as a little 7 or 8-year-old boy. I was just learning the business on that job, and Allan was there to mentor me and actually teach me about escrows and loan closings and all the pyrotechnics and technicalities of mortgage loan brokerage. It was less than a year after that I went out on my own and tried to start a company called Capital Home Loan. Allan would come to help me at night after his regular job to help me close the few loans that I was writing in those early days. He asked for nothing but friendship. And he eventually came to work for me and became the first person I had ever hired. But he was never like an employee. He was a friend and an equal and an awfully good guy. And he kept giving me a push every once in a while when things got tough, things weren't going our way. It was always Allan kind of behind me on that swing, giving me that push forward again. He had no malice. He demonstrated no ego. He was selfless and generous. He had a great sense of humor. We'd have lunches together year after year, joking and laughing and talking about our lives and so forth. And he was always kind of like a brother I never had, in a sense. I always felt he was looking out for me. Whatever I needed to have done, Allan would find a way to help me get it done. From that tiny little company, we became Ames Home Loan and eventually a publicly held company. For most of those years, Allan was with me, riding through it. We eventually traveled around the country, opening branch offices all over the place. It was Allan spearheading that drive. And Jerry, you remember, we even went to Europe and bought a small mortgage company in London. It was Allan who was with me, riding through all that stuff. When the bad years came and the recession was rough, there wasn't a whole lot of money in the coffers. Allan hung in there and never asked for anything, just asked to help. That's the kind of guy he was. I'll never forget his sense of humor. I would always try to find a new joke to tell him because he would laugh incessantly over the corniest joke that I would tell him. But that was Allan. He was selfless. He was the most remarkably unremarkable man I have ever known. His authenticity was unparalleled. Allan was real. No affectations. When it came time to start a trade association, a professional association for our rather adolescent industry, it was Allan who helped me form the California Mortgage Bankers Association. It was Allan, not an owner of a company, who went out and tried to get all of our competitors to join this association. And most of us were rather hostile to each other for a lot of years prior to that. But it was Allan who smoothed over the relationships and made us all work together and create that organization, which ultimately changed the usury laws in California, did a lot of great things. And Allan was there. He was served on the board of directors year after year. He was selfless with his time, his energy, and his passion to see us be successful at everything we tried to do. But it was way more than business. There was a collegiality about him. He made friends wherever he went. He was loved by the people at Ames, even those that many times he had to discipline. But Allan had a way of doing things that was constructive and decent and compassionate. Those are the things I'll remember most about him, was that big heart that he had and the love that he had for his friends and his fellow workers. That guy will still be pushing me on the swing for a long time from now, I'm sure. And I'll remember Allan as that real decent guy to that 7 or 8 year old little kid who he never stopped mentoring. Sleep well, Allan.
And